Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star episode number 216 based on novel. So let's start. In the pathway leading to the arena, the undying guard Dylan and Elder Sci-Fan Chi stood, Elder Sci-Fan Chi, when the battle starts. Dylan looked at the elder beside, no matter what, you must protect His Majesty's life. I know. The elder said seriously. I will be very careful. The moment the victor is determined, I will immediately stop the battle and guarantee His Majesty's safety. Dylan's expression was serious, turning to look at the calm Luo Feng. The Grandmaster made me protect you, I definitely cannot slip up, absolutely. Dylan muttered. For this battle, just this enormous arena with 3 levels filled with standing silhouettes, and the distant floating ones in the air, including the Gold Horn race people around, there were over 1 billion of them. Just the Undyings alone were over 1,000, with quite a few Emperor-level Undyings too. No matter what, during the most crucial time, we have to protect Bei Chuang and that human's life. We cannot have any bad things occur from this. Everybody do your best. All the Undyings were thinking alike. However, none of the Undyings around dared to say they had a 100% guarantee, because Luo Feng and Bei Chuang were both spirit readers. And the thing that determined their victory was either themselves physically or their spirit weapons piercing through the opponent. And piercing through the body, by this time, one could already have lost his life. Of course, Luo Feng was but a genius of humanity. Dying in these sorts of public matches, humanity's side wouldn't be dissatisfied. However, the relationship between the two races wouldn't be affected by a little genius that was simply like another small ant. Silence. A voice engulfed their entire land and skies. The sounds of over 1 billion clansmen immediately quiet down, however they were all still extremely passionate, all staring at the arena. This battle, on one side we have our genius Bei Chuang, and on the other we have the genius Luo Feng. The booming voice resounded like thunder. The rules are simple, if one side admits defeat or is defeated, the battle ends. Right now, the battle of Bei Chuang and Luo Feng will begin, his voice echoed throughout. Over 1 billion Gold Horn race people stared at the stage and held their breaths. Standing in the stage, the silver-armored Luo Feng and green-armored Bei Chuang stared at each other. Gold Horn race, Bei Chuang. The youth Bei Chuang shouted loudly. Human, Luo Feng. Luo Feng stared at his opponent. The two of them had about 10 kilometers between them. They simultaneously rose into the air and floated there. On their backs each, a dark golden long rod appeared and flying spirit weapons appeared below them. You use the Nanshan armament too. Bei Chuang snorted at Luo Feng. Our Gold Horn race's 11 Luo duo is the true creator of the Nanshan armament. Then we'll just have to see who uses it better. Luo Feng said coldly. All right. Bei Chuang's gaze grew fierce. Rumble. The dark golden long rod on his back shot out countless gold lights. Luo Feng's gaze was like lightning, staring at his opponent. His long rod behind shot out countless golden lights as well. Instantly, the blade silhouettes floated and interweaved with gold origin lore threads. Through the combination of space and gold laws, his spirit energy fused with the laws and formed a world, Blade World. That human genius uses the Nanshan armament too. They are both using Nanshan armament level 6, Blade World. Bei Chuang's world seems to be bigger. Over 1 billion Gold Horn race clansmen were discussing softly, watching excitedly. Rumble. Rumble. The two blade worlds had just formed and immediately clashed. The worlds clashed, causing the ground to tremor. Countless blade energies crumbled. The blade world that Luo Feng controlled had tears in it, almost like it was about to break apart. It's about to break. The human genius is inferior. Bei Chuang is about to win. The Gold Horn race people were incredibly excited. He is indeed a genius that the elder Sci-Fan Chi had deemed powerful enough to pass the Heavenly Bridge's 9th level. His blade world is obviously stronger than mine. Luo Feng roared and immediately raised his spirit energy amplitude to over 3,200 up to his max, causing the shaky blade world to instantly become steady and stronger than before. Rumble. Rumble. The two blade worlds clashed again and each clash shook the entire space about. His blade world has suddenly reached perfection? Bei Chuang's expression changed. The blade world was separated into 3 levels. As one's comprehension grew higher, the first step was making the blade world grow more and more steady, reaching a final level of perfection. Normally it required being able to pass the 9th level of the Heavenly Bridge to be able to have the blade world in its most steady form. Even after Luo Feng's 50 years of training, his origin law comprehension was only about the pinnacle of the 7th level. It couldn't be helped, with over 3,200 spirit energy amplitude, it made his spirit energy usage raise by over 32 times. It also allowed his control of the blade world to instantly reach that of passing the 9th level. While others only had one, I have 32 people to control the world. Even if my comprehension is lower, I can still reach that level. Human genius. If he couldn't reach this level, that'd be weird. Bei Chuang thought, his lips curling into a smile, his eyes gleaming with light like never before seen. Then let's see who's stronger. Blade world. Condense. Bei Chuang gritted his teeth. The two blade worlds were initially clashing, however Bei Chuang's world suddenly shrank more and more. Similarly, its density grew higher and higher, finally forming a huge 10 m long crystal-like blade that covered his body. The 10-meter-long blade had completely encompassed the blade world within. Without any wastage of energy, it was condensed extremely well. This was the 3rd level of the blade world. Condense. Luo Feng roared. With over 3,200 spirit energy amplitude, immediately the vast world with 10 kilometers diameter shrank and instantly formed the 10 m long crystal blade. He stood within the blade. You will lose. Bei Chuang roared. Bring it. Luo Feng only had his opponent in his eyes. With the two of them using their crystal blades and controlling them, they left behind a gold rainbow as they rushed towards each other and clashed. Bei Chuang's crystal blade was fast as lightning, unpredictable and ferocious. Luo Feng's blade was like an all-encompassing power, piercing and straightforward. The two had completely different styles. Rumble. The two blades that were filled with the blade world energy were fast and terrifying. Every clash was like two absolute swordsmen exchanging attacks. Luo Feng looked up fiercely and discovered that his crystal blade had tears at the top. He couldn't help but feel shocked. In this level of clash, his crystal blade was no longer as stable as before. It was about to crumble. He's about to win. That human genius's blade world blade is about to crumble. Ha ha, he's bound to win now. Bei Chuang hasn't even unleashed his strongest move. He's already mastered the special move within the blade world, space tremor blade work. The moment he unleashes it, that human genius will definitely lose even more. It goes without saying that our Gold Horn race is the true birthplace of the Nanshan armament. With countless techniques for the weapon, that human using the Nanshan armament will definitely lose. Sturdiness doesn't last, such as simple logic, do you not know it? Bei Chuang roared, what a disappointment, the human genius actually only has such little power. I haven't even used 70% of my strength. What's my strongest move? Space Tremor Blade. The crystal blade that Bei Chuang controlled triggered the power of the land and skies. Its speed grew and instantly rushed at Luo Feng. What exquisite control. Luo Feng was shocked. He had only acquired the Nanshan armament and knew a few basic ways to control it. How to unleash the greatest strength of each level was all based on his own comprehension. However, within the Gold Horn race, the 9 levels of the Nanshan armament, every level had the fitting techniques. These techniques were created by the generations of Gold Horn race. They required a certain level of origin law comprehension to unleash. One person's created battle techniques, how could it compete with countless techniques created by generations of geniuses from the Gold Horn race? Rumble. The crystal blade Bei Chuang controlled already created a blur of images. The surrounding space warped and was engulfed within the blade. Its power was utterly terrifying. Natural ability, strengthen. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. Within his internal world, the enormous golden horned beast raised its head. A gold glaring light shot out from its gold horn on its forehead. It engulfed its entire body and the natural ability was triggered. His consciousness strength instantly doubled. Blood warrior, blood river energy, trigger. Luo Feng seemed like he was in madness. Against his opponent's overwhelming Nanshan armament, Luo Feng had unleashed his natural ability of strengthening and his earth body's blood river energy. Having absorbed 3 blood river crystals, it made his earth body's law fusion double, strengthening the power of his crystal blade. Since using the natural ability strengthen, and his consciousness increased, his control of the crystal blade also rose. Quadruple the power. The crystal blade Luo Feng controlled connected with the universe space and grew even more terrifying. Its speed increased and its rush was even more powerful than before. Gold, strong and solid like the sun, piercing and invincible, break. Luo Feng's eyes were bloodshot, space tremor blade. Bei Chuang's crystal blade 2 pierced through kilometers of distance and reached Luo Feng. Rumble, it was like two trains clashing head-on. Like Mars clashing into Earth. Bei Chuang's crystal blade began to split apart, and with a rumble, the incredibly condensed blade world exploded open. Large amounts of little blades scattering throughout. Luo Feng's crystal blade, however, was dominating, rushing forward, piercing straight at Bei Chuang's body. Rumble. Bei Chuang was completely knocked tens of kilometers back, smashing into the side walls of the arena before falling down. Through the crystal blade he controlled, Luo Feng looked at Bei Chuang. That final hit on his body, he obviously felt a powerful force blocking. Even though it seemed like he flew far, in truth, the overwhelming life-threatening force was over 90% reduced, otherwise Bei Chuang would have been reduced to a mess. At the crucial time, it should have been an undying that saved him. Luo Feng thought. It was good too, when he unleashed his moves, he didn't hold back at all. It was silent. When Luo Feng floated in mid-air above the arena in his crystal blade, over 1 billion Gold Horn race clansmen were silent. They had lost. From the start of the battle, the Gold Horn race's Bei Chuang had always seemed on top. Even towards the end, he was still very confident as he unleashed his strongest move, using the World Crystal Blade to unleash Space Tremor Blade to cleanly defeat Luo Feng. However, the outcome was flipped. The human genius suddenly rose in strength and completely destroyed Bei Chuang. How could this be? How did he suddenly lose? Just, countless Gold Horn race clansmen couldn't accept the result. And the host of the match once again spoke with his booming voice. This battle, the human genius Luo Feng wins. After hearing the result, Luo Feng couldn't be bothered to go check on the injured Bei Chuang. He swiftly flew back through the pathway. Congratulations, Your Majesty. Dylan smiled. Your Majesty, Luo Feng's strength is really out of the ordinary. You've been in the Domain Lord level 9 for such a short time, and you are already able to defeat our genius Bei Chuang. Elder Sai Fan Chi congratulated him. However, from his tone of voice, one could feel he wasn't completely happy. Let's hurry and go. In Luo Feng's ears, he could hear the over 1 billion Gold Horn race clansmen all shouting, discussing, cursing, and even all sorts of challenges. Many of the youths shouted, "Human Luo Feng, I challenge you. Human Luo Feng, accept my challenge. Accept my BASIWA's challenge." The challenges, the cursing, all sorts of noises seemed to almost tear apart the skies. We have to leave immediately. Dylan nodded. They are too passionate. Luo Feng shook his head and laughed. The normal people of the race highly wished for a victory. Bei Chuang's defeat will indeed rile them up with dissatisfaction. Elder Sai Fan Chi shook his head and sighed. However, they are normal civilians and their perspectives are narrow. They cannot see the true difference between the human race and our Gold Horn race. Just the victory of a genius battle alone has no use in the face of our entire race's survival. However, as it unites our people, even though we know it's useless, we still have to support it. Luo Feng nodded. Your Majesty Luo Feng, let's lead from the back. Elder Sai Fan Chi said. Luo Feng, the Elder, Kashna, Dylan and the 5-sector Lord Guards secretly followed a back path leaving the arena. However, the moment they stepped out, they encountered another group of youths blocking their paths. Human Luo Feng, please accept my challenge. Human genius I Kai Nuo issue you a challenge. The group of Gold Horn race youths were incredibly passionate. Let's go. Luo Feng frowned. Right. Dylan nodded. Relax, it's no problem. The elder used his undying energy to suppress the group of youths and their pestering. Luo Feng's group swiftly tore through the skies and headed towards the city. The city was incredibly vast. There was another city within the sacred city, the Sacred Land. The Sacred Land was the most sacred place within the entire Laos world. There were some training quarters within, specially prepared for the warriors of the Gold Horn race. One was called the Technique Tower, and another was the Sacred Tablet Tower. In terms of importance, naturally the Tablet Tower was higher. Look. Elder Sai Fan Chi pointed into the distance at a white tower over 100 kilometers tall. That is the Technique Tower, where the countless techniques written by our warriors are placed. In there, you can read a summary of the many techniques. Summary? Luo Feng was stunned. Right. The elder nodded. There are countless techniques in there in order to help the later generations make the best choice. We've placed a summary of each of the manuals in there with basic details and information about it. That way, the reader could read through it and get an understanding of what they would be training and their procedures. As for the precise training techniques etc., it's not in there. Luo Feng nodded. Only once the person has confirmed the book and sent a request will he be given the true manual. The elder smiled. After all, we've accumulated manuals over countless years, and their worth is immeasurable. If we placed all the manuals in there, it would very quickly attract powerful races coming in to steal them. And right now with only the summaries and no training methods, it's very safe. Luo Feng understood the reasoning. The other sacred tablet tower is where the tablet is stored. The elder pointed at the other gold tower. Your Majesty has the chance to study the tablet alone. You'll be entering that tower. Look, the entire sacred land is a city within the city. The elder pointed around. There were quite ancient living quarters about without any fancy decorations. They were all made simple and looked ancient. With a glance, large amounts of them gave off a very special ancient feeling. The pathways were filled with many warriors slovenly in dress and manner, all pensive and lost in their thoughts. The entire sacred land didn't have any entertainment construct or restaurants. This was a type of training atmosphere. To own a place in the sacred land to train, one either has to be an incredibly respected and powerful warrior, or be an absolute genius, or a person the doyens respect. The elder exclaimed. The ones training in this sacred land are the future hopes of our Gold Horn race. Your Majesty, our Gold Horn race has prepared a place for you to stay. The elder smiled. Please follow me. After a while, an ancient training quarter soon appeared within sight. Luo Feng and his group stood before it as the elder pointed at the building. This is already considered a huge space within the sacred land. Your Majesty can put your guards in here, and even after a month of studying the tablet, you can stay here and slowly absorb the wonders of the tablet. Your Majesty. Luo Feng. Outside the quarters, a black-armored gold horn raceman bowed respectfully. From today on, this space will be your living quarters. You can stay as long as you want. Luo Feng smiled and nodded. You 5 can rest here. Luo Feng ordered his 5 sector lord guards. Yes, Your Majesty. The 5 bowed respectfully. Dylan, follow me to check out the tablet. Luo Feng smiled. Luo Feng brought Dylan, Elder Sai Fan Chi and Kashna and walked over 100 kilometers, arriving before the majestic sacred tablet tower. He looked up at the completely golden tower that was over 100 kilometers tall. Human Luo Feng. A deep voice resounded within his consciousness. I am the guardian of the sacred tablet. You have a month to study the sacred tablet alone. Will you begin now, right now? Luo Feng nodded. Okay. The sacred tablet guardian immediately interrupted the group of Gold Horn race clansmen studying the tablet and chased them out of the tower. Some of them didn't even finish using their study time. However, due to their being a human, they would all have to wait a month before they could continue. Human genius, look, he's over there. I was studying well and was actually interrupted. I still have 3 more days. Now I'll have to wait a whole month before I get to finish it. Seriously, it had to be a human. Tens of Gold Horn race clansmen walked out of the tower and glanced at Luo Feng, communicating amongst themselves. However, they didn't dare stir any trouble, chatting a while before leaving. Dylan, you can all go back first. I'll go study the sacred tablet and come out in a month. Luo Feng said and headed in. The moment he entered the tower, he felt a bone-chilling cold. By simply breathing, he could feel the cold temperature permeate deep into his body. Human Luo Feng, I am the sacred tablet guardian. You can call me guardian. A dark red-skinned man completely covered in an exquisite black armor. Revealing only his purple eyes through his helmet, he stood there giving off an incredibly terrifying piercing energy. Beside him was a 3-meter-tall huge blade that was stuck in the ground. It gave Luo Feng a formless pressure. That didn't seem weaker than true Yang Emperor. Guardian. Luo Feng bowed. Enter. The Guardian said solemnly. Luo Feng nodded. He headed straight through the black pathway and proceeded. Very quickly, he entered an incredibly vast hall. Looking up, he could even see the roof of the over 100 kilometers tall tower. Obviously, the entire tower only had 1 level, and within this vast hall there was a majestic crystal. Crystal sacred tablet. The entire tablet was 300-meter tall, 100-meter wide and 50-meter thick. It was made of a completely dark green crystal body, and it gave off an energy that made one hold his breath. Simultaneously, there was a hole right in the center of it. The hole was about 30 centimeters in diameter, with a depth of 1 meter. It was a round conical hole. It's different from the 52 primal chaos tablets of humanity. Firstly, the material is different and the feeling is different too. Luo Feng stood before it and saw the 300-meter-tall green crystal tablet. On it was a peculiar demon picture, human-shaped demon howling. Demon howling picture, the entire crystal tablet has only this one picture, and the center actually has a conical hole? Luo Feng muttered to himself. He didn't think much more after that and began to examine the tablet. The moment he focused on it, his consciousness couldn't help but get sucked into that demon picture. Rumble, his consciousness was sucked into one of the wings of that demon picture. It was like looking at a vast endless space, and in it the stars were aligning. Luo Feng just had some comprehension. At this point his internal world, which had been stuck at the domain lord pinnacle level, seemed to have been affected by something. Suddenly it began to tremor. Luo Feng was shocked. He immediately pulled himself out of his immersion in the tablet, understanding instantly what was happening. My internal world is evolving and breaking through to the sector lord level. Internal world. The metal continent, which originally had an area of 900,000 kilometers, began to madly swallow up the endless gold mist surrounding the place. It also swallowed up the mist above the continent, the mist that engulfed the entire world. The evolution was different from before. The vast metal continent didn't expand after it swallowed up the gold mist, instead it shrank. The more it swallowed up the gold mist, the more the continent itself shrank. The entire world, however, grew bigger. At this time, the internal world's diameter was more than 10 times bigger than before, and the vast continent that had an area of 900,000 kilometers, however, was constantly shrinking, finally becoming a deep abyss surrounded by golden mountains. Dual world pool, form. Rumble. The dual world pool stopped in the space above the continent, as complex engravings filled the entire deep abyss within the dual world pool. This was much more complex than the beast god howling engraving from the blood river energy. Within the mountain range gathered countless gold spots of light. These spots were the essences of the countless amounts of gold mist absorbed earlier from the 900,000 kilometers metal continent. At this time, the blur of gold lights revolved about like a nebula. Gold horn world stone, gather. Luo Feng's consciousness was extremely powerful, controlling this entire process directly. Rumble. The nebula of gold lights instantly gathered into one body and became a gold tower-like shaped gold stone that was only the size of a finger. This stone floated within the dual world pool. However, it caused the entire space around it to ripple, eventually shaking the entire internal world. Gold horn world stone. A golden horned beast can only produce this one gold horn world stone in its entire life. It's a stone that's formed from the internal world's essence. It contains gold and space, a true treasure. Luo Feng exclaimed. The gold horn world stone was the golden horned beast's most important treasure. After breaking through from domain lord to sector lord level, its internal world isn't purely gold energy anymore, but a very normal internal world that could have rivers, mountains, and even life within. Hence the ferocious gold energy that was filled with offensive power forms a dual world pool. And the energy of that dual world pool was within that gold horn world stone. As the internal world changes, Luo Feng's earth body core began to undergo change too. Rumble, his soul and genetic energy crystals began to melt into a liquid under a formless energy. The two began to interweave, and as the spirit energy and genetic energy made contact, it fused both his consciousness and willpower. It was this first fusion that resulted in the world energy being formed. The birth of world energy. It allowed a thread of Luo Feng's consciousness to resonate and feel the energies of the vast universe. The primal universe was the most vast and ancient universe that produced many races and life forms. Like the universe at an early stage of formation, even though it was a part of the primal universe, it wasn't even a fraction of the primal universe. The primal universe was the true source of energies. When Luo Feng's world energy was first produced in his internal world, it connected with the incomparably distant source. This is the universe source of energy? A thread of his consciousness with the power of the world energy had already entered this source. It was an incredibly vast land. His consciousness could only feel this vast land, and not any other beings about. And within this endless space, every bit of mud was like a space. Within it contained endless universe crystals. A grain of sand is like a world has endless universe crystals? Is this the true face of the universe source? Luo Feng was incredibly shocked. However, the trillions of kilometer vast space that he could feel was only a small portion of the entire source itself. Even so, it shocked him greatly. Two worlds resonance. When Luo Feng's consciousness made contact with the source, his core and his internal world both underwent shocking change. His internal world had initially only had the dual world pool within. At this time, it was like his internal world had opened a path to the primal universe source. Endless universe energies flowed as world energy into his internal world was almost like a torrent or flood. It violently and instantly filled his entire internal world. One had to know, his internal world space was already 10 times larger than before, however it was still completely filled. Obviously, to the primal universe source, every grain of sand's universe crystal's energies could completely fill Luo Feng's internal world. Feels good. Instantly having so much universe energy. It's a pity that such a chance only happens at the breakthrough from domain lord to sector lord level. And only during this time will there be this chance. Luo Feng thought. After which, he didn't think more about it, his consciousness feeling his internal world which was filled to the brim with world energy from the source. Condensed center continent, gold, wood, water, fire, ground, formed the side continents. With a diameter of 5 million kilometers, a vast continent was formed. With about 1 million in diameter continents within that huge continent, the 5 continents were burning, ice cold, or filled with grass and wood, or metal mountain ranges, or thick grounds. Between the 6 continents is an endless ocean. Rumble, there was endless waters in between the ground and skies. It flooded the areas and took up half the space in the entire internal world. The surface of the ocean far exceeded that of the continents. Within the center continent, there's an ocean within. Immediately, the center continent with a diameter of 5 million kilometers had its center portion crumble. The ground was reduced to a void and endless sea water was produced within, filling it up, and a 900 kilometers diameter ocean was formed within the center of the continent. Within the ocean, there lies the dual world pool. Gurgle, the ocean churned. The dual world pool gently rose, and just like a solitary island in the sea, it lay in the center of the endless abyss, almost like another world altogether. Endless living things, birth. Luo Feng left everything for his internal world to work. The center continent, 5 continents within, internal ocean, endless ocean, all these naturally formed plants, flowers, mountain ranges, etc. At this time, the entire internal world was no different from a real world. Internal world, formed. The universe energies that weren't completely used swiftly became universe crystals and instantly gathered and formed a universe crystal mountain on the continent. The internal world was already successfully formed, and the universe energies, world energies naturally gathered and formed a universe crystal mountain. Normally those that just stepped into sector lord level would experience this. However, a normal sector lord would never have acquired such a huge universe crystal mountain. Because the internal world of the sector lords were much smaller than Luo Feng's, from what I know, many sector lords' internal worlds only have a diameter of over 10,000 kilometers. Mine, however, has a diameter over 10 million kilometers. The bigger the internal world, the amount needed to sustain the core was also more. From the 900,000 kilometers internal world reaching to over 10 million kilometers, Luo Feng's core had to undergo an evolution from its foundation. During the process, the core naturally began to absorb the energies emanated from the internal world, a small portion of the gold horn world stone's energy. Rumble, within the core, his spirit and genetic energies had completely fused, and according to the natural evolution of the universe, it formed an origin pearl. The pearl revolved slightly and released endless threads that connected to the main core. The main core thus began to change. From Star Traveler to Domain Lord level, this core had always been a half-translucent crystal with complex gold engravings. It glowed with golden light and was very mysterious. However, after stepping into the sector lord level, the core absorbed the threads of internal world energies, source energies, and universe energies, forming a seemingly normal-looking core. Simple. With a hint of light, even the gold engravings were completely hidden. My God. Luo Feng was shocked. My core now has to sustain this 10 million diameter large internal world. It's already the core of many sector lord pinnacles, and even more terrifying than that. When I reach the sector lord pinnacle, this core, what level will it reach? No wonder the golden horned beast has 3 natural abilities, with inherited memories and a lifespan which was 10 times that of a human. However, very few actually break through to Undying. Feeling the strength of this core, Luo Feng understood why breaking through to the Undying was extremely difficult. Even now, even if Luo Feng released his defenses and allowed others to come attack his core, even a sector lord pinnacle wouldn't be able to break it. Naturally, Luo Feng wouldn't give others the chance to do so either. Stepping into the sector lord level, my internal world is now a true world. I don't only have to swallow metals. Normal sector lords would use universe crystals to evolve and change their worlds, and when my internal world was expanding in the past, it relied on countless universe crystals to form. I only have two paths. The first is to use the universe crystals to expand my internal world more. That way, when I reach Sector Lord Pinnacle, my internal world diameter will be over 30 million kilometers. The second is to continue using valuable metal groupings from swallowing, the one suitable for the golden horned beast. After being swallowed into the dual world pool, the most pure and valuable gold energies would enter the gold horn world stone, the other energies would immediately push the internal world to change. After the gold horn world stone evolves, its exquisite energies would affect the core and make it stronger, and will be able to withstand a larger internal world. That way, at Sector Lord Pinnacle, my internal world diameter would reach over 90 million kilometers. Luophone was very clear. The first path was much easier, many golden horned beasts chose this path. The second was much harder, as the shackles would be stronger. The good thing was that the larger the internal world, the stronger one was, and his god country eventually would be stronger too. Also, after constantly absorbing the exquisite energies from the gold horn world stone, the stone would be much more powerful too. This video will end here. Thank you for watching.